back. Candidate debates are great, but sometimes it is the one-on-one interviews that are most valuable when considering for whom to vote. That's our hope anyway this week as we bring you closing arguments from the leading candidates for mayor in the District of Columbia. Tomorrow it's David Catania, Friday Carol Schwartz. We start things off this time with the big winner of the Democratic primary back in April, Ward 4 Councilwoman Muriel Bowser. Thanks very much for coming in. It's good to have you here.
Hi, Bruce. Thanks for having me.
We appreciate your carving out some time for us during what I know is an intense and busy period as you're, well, voting is on.
Yes, it's on.
But you continue to work the forums and the debates and the one-on-one. Having campaigned a bunch of times before and having come through an intense primary where you finished first out of 8, can you talk about what this experience has been like? I'm sure it's very similar, but if the polls are right, you're going to be the next mayor. And I just wondered, feel different?
Well, I've enjoyed every minute of it. We've been campaigning for mayor for 19 months. I knew in March of 2013 that voters deserved a fresh start and an opportunity to have a mayor that could be very urgently focused on our future. And so we've been in every neighborhood across all 8 wards in the District of Columbia talking about the future. I was very privileged to be a big winner on April 1st to ensure that we get that fresh start. And ever since then, we've been campaigning like crazy, talking to folks about what's important for their future. So it feels good to hear directly from residents, and we're prepared for November the 4th. And actually, Election Day started already on Monday.
It's an election window that we have now in this era of early voting.
And it's a good thing.
It is, because the more opportunity for people to vote, clearly the better. We're not that good as a community, as a nation, in terms of electoral participation, and the more people who vote, obviously, the better it is. I've seen you in action, and I know that door-to-door campaigning is something you take seriously.
Absolutely.
And you don't do the drive-by, you don't do like the hit and run where it's here's my lit, shake the hand and run.
Right.
You invest time, and you spend as much time listening as talking. What are people saying to you? I mean, give us the kind of...
Well, it's really, you can't lead a city from the Wilson building. You have to lead a city by going out and hearing directly from people. So people first tell me they want a government they can trust, a good, clean government that's going to deliver services, and a government they can be proud of. They want a city that continues to build on the momentum that we've gained over the last 20 years. We're growing. People are coming back to our schools. We're attracting residents and businesses. So they want a mayor that's going to be the kind of leader that can build on that progress, but at the same time address all of the folks who haven't participated in that progress. So a mayor that's going to focus on building our middle class, a focus on matching D.C. residents with jobs, and making sure that the parts of our city that have been left out of this progress get a fair shot.
Critics have said that David Catania's list of legislative accomplishments on the council dwarfs those of Carol Schwartz and you. I'm wondering if you wake up on November 5th or go to bed on November 4th, mayor-elect, what will the mandate be? What do you think folks will be able to say fairly is your mandate? Because the big part of the gig is being able to get your agenda through the council, and the bigger the perceived mandate, the more likely you're going to be to find the 7 and the 8 and the 9 votes needed to get whatever the most important pieces of your agenda are going to be.
Well, first of all, I think I have the most support of the members of the council of anybody running. That's because they know the kind of leader I am, and quite frankly, they know the type of leadership that my opponents display. And it's not the type that brings people together, that speaks across party lines, ideologies, across the river, across the park, and across all 8 wards of the District of Columbia. That's why I'm very proud of the broad base of support that we have, from labor unions to the business community to residents, from the Washington Post to Barack Obama to the governors that surround our region. Because what's really important now, the next mayor of the District of Columbia has an opportunity that no mayor has had before to really make a regional, national, and global imprint. And it takes a leader that is steady, that looks at solutions and is not knee-jerk in making decisions, but moves people along. And that's why I have the support of so many. And I'm actually very proud of the record that I've amassed over the last years. I'm a ward council member, and my job has been to deliver for a discrete group of people and for all of the residents of the District of Columbia. I've gone down to the council to pass the type of legislation that's made a difference in people's lives, like kids ride free on the Metro bus, over $5 million of rides provided to families. Families are paying $30 per month per child just to get to school. We got through the council a massive ethics reform bill, saving D.C. homes from foreclosure. We've reformed our vacant property laws, and these are the things that I was sent down to the council to work on, and I'm very proud of them.
I have to sneak in a break in about 45 seconds. In hindsight, should the ethics bill have kicked in this cycle?
It has. We have an independent board of government of ethics and government accountability. We funded the Open Government Office, which allows the press and allows citizens to have access to public meetings and get information from the government.
My sense was that pieces of it don't kick in until the next cycle or till January.
No, that whole ethics bill is in effect, and it's working. We've seen the Board of Ethics investigate, give advisory opinions, and have a certain timeline where penalties are enforced.
Talking with D.C. Councilwoman and mayoral hopeful Muriel Bowser. A break. Back with more News Talk right after this. Muriel Bowser, let me open up the phone lines for you. If you have a question or comment, I'm always curious to know, particularly among undecided voters, is there one issue where you're waiting to hear the candidates talk about their background and their platform in a bit more detail? We're going to be talking with all the candidates this week. Muriel Bowser today, David Catania tomorrow, Carol Schwartz on Friday. We're grateful to everyone for giving us time here during the home stretch so that we can have substantive dialogue. 703-387-1020. Serious inquiries only. We welcome your participation in the show, and we'll go to the phones as your questions and comments come in. Can you talk about the mailer? It arrived in my mailbox yesterday, that the David Catania campaign piece riffing off of the ABC hit drama Scandal, and implying, more than implying, saying that if you didn't like the last 4 years, you're going to like the next 4 under a Bowser mayoralty.
Well, I've heard a lot from people about my opponent's negative campaign, and it's not swaying any voters. Actually, what it is doing is turning people off. We've experienced 6 straight months of a negative campaign, and for the last 19 months, we have launched a campaign that is positive, that is vision-focused, and I'm very proud of it. In fact, you talked about priorities in our plans, and I hope all of your listeners will go to my website and look at my priorities plan, where we have laid out 9 substantive areas where a Bowser administration will focus. And actually, we put a piece of mail in it that are talking about the issues, not about TV shows.
Was the substance of this? You know, we always have contrasts in elections. Was this one over the line? Was it fundamentally unfair from your perspective?
Was what?
The scandal. Oh,
I just think that a campaign that resorts to negative attacks in the last 2 weeks is a campaign that's desperate.
Looking to change the trajectory out of a fear of defeat.
What I know about campaigns is when somebody resorts to a negative campaign, they're desperate.
It's possible that the day voter, coming up in this election is question 71, the marijuana legalization referendum. Do you have thoughts? Do you have a? Can you tell us how you're voting? And
sure.
And are there things about this that you fear? Are there things about this that you welcome? What are your thoughts on this question?
Well, I think it's important that the voters have the opportunity to weigh in. I will be voting for Initiative 71, and I've come to that decision with a lot of thought. I supported the decriminalization of marijuana because I believe that arrest for simple possession of marijuana has destroyed too many young people's lives, and I think it's important that we get rid of that. But the decriminalization and also the question of whether simple possession should be legal leads to another question. How can people legally procure it? And I am convinced that if we have legal marijuana or even decriminalized marijuana, we also have to have a regime for the legal sale of marijuana, and we can regulate it like we regulate alcohol. But it's also important because I understand the concern about young people using it. I will only support the possession or use of marijuana by adults, and will only support the use, private use, in someone's home or another private place, not in parks, not on the street, not in cars. And it's also important that we are educating our young people about the effects of marijuana. It shouldn't be, it is a substance, and it's a substance like alcohol that we want consenting adults to be able to make informed decisions about.
To the phones, Diane first. Thanks for calling in, Diane. We're picking up on line 2 to hear from you. Go right ahead, please. You're on the air.
Good morning.
Hi.
I'm calling because you mentioned that you wanted to help grow the middle class, but the D.C. Department of Employment Services does not have a great track record in job training. And I think at one of the debates you mentioned that you had a plan to overhaul the agency. I was wondering if you could give some examples of how you will help people get good jobs.
Good question. Thank you.
Well, thank you for that. And jobs is a key piece, obviously, to how we grow our middle class. We need to have more D.C. residents who have access to good jobs with good wages so that they can afford the wonderful quality of life that so many enjoy right here in the District of Columbia. We spend about $100 million on job training programs, and those programs don't often lead to good jobs. And so I want to refocus how we spend that $100 million. And I'm going to start with working with our contractor community, the people who do business with the District of Columbia, ask them to partner with us to employ our residents that have the most significant barriers to employment. I also want to focus on training D.C. residents for jobs that our own government creates. And I'll create a Department of General Services Academy. So that we're training and preferencing D.C. residents to get jobs as custodians and jobs as sanitation workers and jobs painting our buildings and cutting our grass. And that's what's so important to me. I also will have a focus on young people. How can we expand our summer youth program and our year-round program to cover young people up to age 24? But underlying all of that is making sure that our residents are ready, have the literacy skills to take advantage of this training. So we have to work hand in hand with our adult learning providers to make sure our residents are ready.
Many of us have lived in neighborhoods where when couples have kids and the kids get to a certain age, they leave. Not because they no longer love the District of Columbia, but because they're not confident about the elementary school that their that their kids would be going to, and perhaps the middle schools and high schools as well. So it's off to Northwest, or it's off to the suburbs.
Right.
Do you think that's changing now? Do you think that's starting to change? And if you didn't like the mayor's school boundary redraw, would a plan more to your liking come presumably early in your administration?
Well, absolutely, and you ask a good question because we're attracting so many young people, and often the young people that we're attracting to the city now have kids, but they want to have kids and they want to stay in the District of Columbia. I think what has definitely changed is that feeling that everything is better in the suburbs because we have seen our city become safer. We see our schools improving. In fact, young families are choosing D.C. public schools more than they ever have, and that is very encouraging. But Bruce, what is also important is that we can send them a strong signal that our middle schools will be ready, and we know that that families are making those decisions as early as 2nd and 3rd grade. My big commitment is to make sure that we are transforming 4 middle schools or creating 4 new middle schools across the District of Columbia. I want to make sure that my first budget that would be introduced next spring includes the capital funding to get those middle schools created. What families want to know is that they have a high quality by right school, elementary, middle, and high school that serves their neighborhood, and that's my commitment. I don't think that the plan on the table gets us there and would finalize tweaks to it early on in a Bowser administration.
I don't know if you had the opportunity to read the piece that Washington Post reporter Paul Schwartzman did the other day. He went to wards 7 and 8 and found that you have not yet sealed the deal. You haven't closed the sale with some voters. And do you want to talk to the issue of whether African-American voters are warming to your campaign?
Well, it's unfortunate that the reporter didn't refer to his own polling from the Washington Post, because I think that would have told a more complete story. It's even more unfortunate that he doesn't spend time with us on the doors or in meet and greets or in churches across Ward 7, 8, 5, 4, and all of the wards of the District of Columbia, because we enjoy support, not only in the African-American community, but in all of the District of Columbia. One of the things I'm most proud of in our victory on April 1st was that we enjoyed a lot of energy across all 8 wards of the District of Columbia. So our campaign is for all 8 wards, and I have a great record of working with people across the city.
We have been blessed over the course of the last 8 years to have a monthly opportunity to sit down with the mayor of the District of Columbia. The current mayor, Vince Gray, has been very available to us. His predecessor, Adrian Fenty.
Yes.
And I just wanted to say, I didn't want to force you to make a commitment on live TV. I just wanted to say the door will be open for you if you win.
I always enjoy talking to you and your understanding of the issues in D.C.
I try. Thank you for the compliment, and thank you very much for being with us today. Good to have you here.
My pleasure.
Councilwoman Muriel Bowser, the Democratic candidate for mayor in the district. A break. Back with more of the show right after.